So when it comes to investing, you are simply telling your money to put on its boots and go to work for you. So before venturing into the world of investing, there are some things you'd want to look at, and that is what I term to be investment 101. And for women generally, these are things that we should really look into. And number one is investing in yourself. Because if you don't know anything about what you want to put your money into there, it is highly recommended that you don't. If you don't know much about a business, you don't know much about a stock, you don't know much about a bond or whatever you want to put your money into, but you don't know much about it, then it is highly recommended that you don't put your money into it, just so that you will not lose your money. Because whatever you want to put your money into, then it has to be something that you've done a lot of research on, which takes us to you investing in yourself, reading and getting as much education as possible on those areas that you want to put your money into. A lot of research should have been done on maybe the stocks you want to buy, the kind of business you want to go into, and so many other things. And this means you have to really educate yourself and go out of your way to buy books, listen to podcasts, maybe go on research. There's so many ways that you can educate yourself nowadays. YouTube here is one of those places where you can get a lot of education. So that's why today I'll be discussing with us extensively on ways that we can invest in ourselves and lead us to a more reasonable investment in future. And one of them, like I said earlier, is reading books, getting yourself educated. If you are not really comfortable with reading books all the time, you can listen to podcasts too, you can listen to audiobooks, you can maybe buy no online books, PDFs. There are just numerous ways. YouTube is one of them. There are a lot of ways you can learn nowadays. So, but the bottom line is that you really need to educate yourself and go out of your way to learn so much, because as you learn, you begin to grow. It's not explainable, it's not something anybody can explain to you. But when you begin to read and develop yourself, it just shows for itself. You start to see the difference in yourself, in your behavior, your attitude, and the way you see life generally. So an investment in yourself is something that cannot be taken away from you. Even when you get divorced, your education cannot be taken away from you. Even if something happens to your country and you are taken from this country to another country without your kids, without your belongings and whatever, if anything ever happens and God forbid people are taken as refugees from one place to another place, one thing that they cannot take from you is your education and the knowledge you already have in you. So this is something that stays with you and dies with you. So that's why I call it investment 101. Before you do anything, then you need the knowledge. Knowledge precedes even money or whatever. Wisdom should come first, because if you don't have the wisdom, then you cannot manage anything that comes after. You can't even manage money without the wisdom on how to manage money. So this is a major factor, irrespective of whatever point I'm going to be mentioning afterwards. This is something every woman has to look at. We need this education to be the better version of ourselves, to protect ourselves from financial abuse, to protect ourselves from the effect of growing old and not having anybody to provide for you. You need the knowledge. Knowledge cannot be taken from you. It is yours and yours to keep. And wherever you go, it stays with you and it shows up for you. And then number two is living below your means. After you've gotten the education, most people find it very, very difficult to live below their means. But one paradigm shift I had was that I felt okay. There are some women that feel they cannot make a pot of soup in Nigeria presently with 2,000 naira or 3,000 naira. But then there are women that are cooking with just 200 naira. This is just outrageous. I met a lady recently and she was explaining to me how she makes soup for her family of 4 kids with just 200 naira. There's this soup that house has called luru in Yoruba is luru, and miya kuka in Hausa. She says she buys it for around 50 naira and she's able to make a pot of soup that is enough for her 4 kids and her husband, and they just use soya beske, like we call it in Nigeria, for the soup, and she buys maggi, 20 naira, 10 naira, and that is it for the pot of soup. And they get gari, and food is ready. So what you should be able to understand is that no matter how the caliber you think you cannot make this amount of soup, always know that people that are making or eating on a relatively very very low income, so you can always cut down on expenses. This is what I'm trying to drive at, that you can always live below your means, and I prefer to say below your means now instead of even saying within your means, because if you live below your means, then you are sure to be able to save a huge chunk of your income, and then with time you'll be able to have time to do what you love to do and then invest. Then you also have that financial stability because you have something as safety net that is already saved as a backup for you in case of any life challenges. So living below your means is also a major factor when it comes to investing. The habit, the ability, the behavior to be able to recognize that you are heading towards somewhere, and for you to achieve it, you have to pay some certain sacrifice, which means you have to live below your means and be able to cut down on some expenses and to be able to avoid some impulse buy. And then number three is for you to control your influence, control what has access to you, control your relationship with others. You should be able to detect those things that you give access to, because anything that you give access to into your life has a major impact in your life, even if you don't recognize it. You have to be able to recognize the kind of people that you give access into your life, because you are the average of the 5 people that you move around with, and that's why you have to choose your friend wisely. If you are the fifth of a group of 4 millionaires, then it is sure that with time you become like them, and then if it is otherwise, you also be like them. I'm not saying you should cut down relationships that do not match your life's goal or vision, but you have to reduce your meeting or association with them and increase your association with those people that you really want to be like and are working to develop themselves, or that are already where you want to be. And then number four is retirement, saving towards retirement, or having a retirement account, or putting something into building your future. Because as most Nigerians, it is a lack of foresight that most people have, or most Nigerians or Africans in generally have, that my children will take care of me, because you don't know that you are overburdening your children, because at that age where they are grown enough, to earn income, they probably already have their kids and family to take care of. So with you asking them or straining them for finances, it's like you are giving them, or you're trying to set them back on their finances. So it's always advisable. Yes, you might want your children to love you and care for you, but it is not for you to ask them to give you. It is in your own interest to save and take responsibility for your future from now, irrespective of the age you are. Either you're in your 20s or you're watching this video in your teens, then it is really advisable for you to start saving towards your 50s and 60s. And as women, we usually get by because of our youthfulness in our 20s and 30s. We feel we're young, we can get by and get a lot of money from our boyfriends and whatever, or from our husband, because of the sex and appeal that we have at those early age. We feel like we can get ahead. But when it comes to when we are 40s and 50s and in our 60s, it doesn't happen like that anymore. The money that you have left for yourself gives you that edge, gives you that value at that age. So you have to realize and start working towards your 40s and 50s and 60s for now, so that you'll be able to have that value on your side at that age. Then number 5 is stocks. So this is not a video on stocks, on how to buy stocks and the like, but it's something we all want to go into. But some of the things you want to know about going into buying stocks is that you shouldn't use the money you use within your first within the 5 years from the time you are investing to invest in stocks. Take for example, you have some money put aside that you'd want to use that money this year or next year or in 5 years time. Then I don't advise you to put those money into investing. Any money that you want to put into investing into your S&P 500, which is your index fund, and which is one of those stocks that I really advise for you to put your money into. Then if you're putting your money into that, it should be money that you don't want to use in the next 5 years. And then buying stocks is highly reasonable, but you upgrading yourself, like I said earlier, investing yourself to learn higher skills or better yourself is also a good investment for yourself, because if, take for example, you have 50,000 naira presently and you want to invest in stocks, it is a good idea. I would simply say you should buy some S&P 500 stocks, fine. But that 50,000 naira, if you have a skill that you can earn that will triple your income, then you might want to use that 50,000 naira to learn that skill and then triple your income. And then when your income is tripled, then you can now divert some of those income, major part of those income, into your S&P 500 or buying of stocks. So that'll be all for today on this episode of this on this YouTube video rather. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to click the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, be sure to follow our Instagram page at Smart Girl Finance or my personal page at Aliu Kafayat. I have a lot of fun engaging people out there on personal finance tips and how to be better with money. Bye. I'll talk to you next time.